Welcome to Unfiltered and Unstoppable with Romesburg. Real strategies for real advisors, a podcast that dives into what it takes to scale a thriving financial practice. Each week, we'll discuss actionable strategies, tools, and insights to keep you ahead in today's financial landscape. From innovative products and powerful marketing tactics, you'll get unfiltered truth and unstoppable strategies. Let's get started by building your unstoppable financial practice today.
All right. Welcome back to Unfiltered and Unstoppable. I am your host, Rob Romesburg, and today we are going to be hitting on a topic that is not only massively underestimated, but also very intimidating for a lot of advisors as well. But it is absolutely transformational for advisors that not only want to scale, but that want to scale with peace in their life and want to make sure that they are able to not only enjoy life but enjoy their practice and their firm and while at the same time growing at a strong pace. And really what we're going to be talking about today is hiring maybe your first or your next team member, and primarily what advisors get wrong with that process. Because here's the truth: most advisors aren't struggling because of lack of effort or because they're lazy. It's they struggle because they're doing everything and they're doing too much, and quite frankly, working too hard and having too much on their plate and doing everything themselves. And that's the thing, is that they've somehow created a business that is dependent entirely on that one advisor's energy. And we want to walk you through that today on how we can alleviate that. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're not only the advisor in the firm, but you're the marketer in the firm. You're the scheduler. You're the admin. You're the one opening the mail. You're closing the $1 million case. And unfortunately, somehow you've become the bottleneck of everything, even though you're doing your absolute best. And so, and here's what I hear all the time from advisors: is I want more freedom, but I don't have the time to hire anyone. I know I need help, but I don't know where to start, or I don't even know how to train them. And that's precisely why today's conversation is so important, because the hiring part of it is not just about adding the body. It's about building capacity, reducing pressure, and making sure that, more importantly, that we are unlocking the growth that maybe even you didn't know that you could reach. And to help unpack all of this, I brought in someone who has helped more advisors grow their teams more than anyone that I've ever met. She is the senior vice president of agency development. Quite frankly, the heartbeat of our tactical coaching team, and she is what I would consider to be one of the best strategic operators in the entire industry, and that is Miss Gretchen Beatty. Gretchen, welcome to Unfiltered Unstoppable.
Hi, Rob. That was an excellent introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, that was an understatement for sure. This is the second time that we've had you on Unfiltered and Unstoppable. It's been almost a full year since you were on last, and I can't believe it's almost been a year already. And my apologies.
Yeah, you should apologize because that's rude. But the good news is, within that year, our team, myself, has gained even more experience, exposure, knowledge, in exactly what we're going to be talking about today. So let's just say that I'm coming in maybe several months late, but better armed, and maybe a little more unfiltered.
I
How about
love
that?
it. Let's go, man. You're just always so clever with it, and I appreciate that so much. Uh, but seriously, I am fired up for this one. And but before we get into the how, let's start with a real quick story, if you don't mind diving in. You've worked with hundreds of advisors. You obviously have a great outlook of what they consistently misunderstand, So just give us a story of what you've seen.
Yeah, I think stories make any subject more relatable, and I think it's even more important to put a story behind the how and the why. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today, a lot of what you brought up in the intro ties in just perfectly to this story. It's almost like you knew what was in my head and the direction I was going to go with this. But to protect the innocent, I'm going to call this individual Andrew. And Andrew, about 4 years ago, made the decision that he was going to break away. He had been working in a captive shop. He was going to break away from that, hang up his own shingle, do his own thing, and just really get after it. And it felt really good, right? He was in control. He felt empowered. In his mind, busy equaled successful. And he was in the spot in life where he was feeling all of those things. And then fast forward to about 18 months ago, and that's really when he started to feel some change happening. And that change felt like he was moving faster, but he and the business were not moving forward, right? Two very different things. And that's where he was. There were so many to-dos every morning when he walked in. And what he realized when he took time to reflect was that why he got into this business, the passion that he felt from sitting across a desk from consumers that he could help, that was really taking a back seat to that constant list of to-dos that needed to be done. He'd come in and there would be appointments to be set. He was falling so far behind with his client reviews. God forbid, Rob, that he holds a prospecting event, because when is his calendar going to allow him to meet with them? He really felt like he was in that hamster wheel. So, in looking at all of those things, he realized a couple of things. First of all, the consumer experience that he prided himself on and felt so good about, it was really slipping away because he had put himself in the position of needing to be reactive instead of proactive. He also felt like the business was very fragile. Like, if he's down for 3 days because of the flu, that's not a good sign. Then he's even 3 days farther behind than he ever was. So initially, feeling like he had that control was now all of a sudden the problem and not the solution. And he didn't have control, right? The business had taken control of him. So he called us and we talked through, kind of what are the steps that could be taken here? What could alleviate some of the pain that he was feeling? And we got him to realize that he could only give 100%, right? He could change his processes. He could work on becoming more efficient. He could work on trying to reorganize how he was spending his time. But at the end of the day, what he needed and what none of us can create is more hours in the day. There is a finite number of those. So he had reached his max capacity with 100, not only of his time, but also for any growth opportunity for the business. So when he had the real eye-opening, like, something's got to change here, he was looking at his quarterly financials and the business had stalled. I mean, he was working that much harder, but was not, when you put pen to paper, he was not seeing the end result that he was hoping for. So we made the decision to hire, because he realized that not hiring where he was in his business had become more expensive than pulling the trigger and getting some help in there for him. So I don't want this to be like and happily ever after. He gets somebody in there and everything's great and his business skyrockets, because that's not a realistic picture. But within the first 60 days of bringing somebody into his practice, Rob, he could already start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. His appointments were being set for him. His new business applications were going in on time, big one, correctly. And even bigger than that, we're being followed up on. So he was receiving, his compensation that much quicker. But most importantly, he could stay in that advisor role for longer periods of time than he'd been able to, in about 2 years. So what he was able to do by bringing somebody else on was really smash through the ceiling that he had created for himself. He realized pretty quickly that he got 15 hours of his week back to spend on those consumer facing revenue generating activities that he had missed so much, where his real passion for this business was. Within the first 3 quarters, he realized that his production was on pace to increase by about 30%. And most importantly, when it came to Andrew, he was able to make it to his daughter's dance recital on time, in his seat, see the whole show, and not have to worry about what was happening back at the office. He could truly be where his feet are. And I've met Andrew's wife, and I know that was probably a win for her as well. So I start with that story because I think it is the position where a lot of our advisors are, not even necessarily for their first hire, but just like you said, for the next hire as well.
That's such an awesome story, and that's probably not the only one like that, I would imagine.
100%. We work with a lot of Andrews. They go by various names.
Andrews and Alice's, and yeah,
That's right.
I used this analogy one time, and it's something that has stuck. I talk about we in the sales world, and people in general, but definitely in the sales world, we have a fuel gauge, and that fuel gauge could only remain so full for so long. The more energy, the more output that you have, the lower that fuel gauge becomes. And so what I mean by that is all the things that you just touched on. So if I continue to try to be the one-man army, and I'm touching the admin side of things, and I'm answering the phone call, and I'm opening the mail, and then when it becomes time for me to have the appointment, I'm now at a quarter tank. I don't have the fuel that I need to be on my game in that presentation, to really give you all of my energy, for me to really be listening, and for me to be really engaged. Because guess what? I'm still thinking about that stupid transfer that didn't go through, and I cannot believe the insurance company, and I cannot believe the FMO, and I can't. You shouldn't know about any of that. That's unless it's at an epic, oh my God level. It's 9 months and it's not happening. But my point to that is, the more energy you are putting outside of the revenue generating side of things as the primary advisor, that just kills your appointments 100%.
And I would add to that analogy, Rob, that with that same fuel gauge, there are activities that we all do that increase our fuel and decrease our fuel. So as a person that has true passion for helping others with their financial situation, if I'm spending my time following up on an app or wiping down the conference room table, those types of activities are going to deplete my fuel gauge much faster because I don't enjoy doing them, and they're not things that I'm good at. So being able to keep that fuel gauge on, my husband tells me, don't ever be driving around all crazy if you're under half a tank. So if we're at half a tank, our next activity better be something that's going to feed it and not take away from it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So tell me, what would you say is the biggest mistake in regards to hiring? Like I said earlier, the common things that I hear from an advisor is, I'll hire when I'm ready, or I can't afford someone yet, or hey, you know what, I hired in the past and it didn't work, so I'm scared to try it again. What, from your experience, what are the top mistakes the advisors make when they're hiring?
You mentioned several of them, but I'll add 2 more on top of that. The first one is not having a really good set plan that you're going to work from. And I compare that one, Rob, to any of our advisors that are creating a plan for their clients. You're not going to go in all willy-nilly and just be like, let's throw the dice and see how this turns out.
Yes.
We have to have that exact same approach and mentality
Yes.
when we are planning to bring somebody into our firm that will be working with those same clients. And then the second one is not being, maybe being unrealistic about an ideal candidate and what that individual looks like, what their work experience has been, because that can throw a real obstacle in the overall process.
Yeah, you're right. What I have heard from you and your team time and time again is, if you are truly looking to grow and you are truly looking to scale, hire before you need that next person. Because if you wait until you need them, it's already too late. And
Yep.
then that's when chaos ensues, right? Then all of a sudden now we have compounding issues. And now I've got this new person in here and they're looking around like, what did I get myself into? And then all of a sudden now I'm trying to train them at the same time as I'm trying to put out these fires. So if you are the firm that is really looking to grow and you're really looking to scale, hire sooner than you think, right?
I would agree with that. And I think the other thing that I would encourage is, even if hiring isn't on your radar right now, there's no time like now to start that process.
Yeah.
And your first step is a pretty easy one. It may take you 15 minutes at the end of the day, or half an hour at the end of the week. But where I always encourage people to start is, what are the things that you are doing that either deplete your fuel gauge, but they're constantly on there? You are the only person that owns those things. And or what are the things that you are doing that takes you out of that revenue generating capacity?
Yeah.
And the reason that I encourage people to start there, Rob, that goes back to like starting without a plan. My parents told me, my grandparents told me, I tell my kids, plan your work and then work your plan, right? Like that is it's just ingrained in my head. The first step to hiring is really figuring out who do we need? What type of role are we looking to fill? Putting those things down, putting those tasks down, those things that you repeatedly do that are mundane or don't fit your skill set or deplete your fuel gauge. From looking at that list of tasks, we can begin to create that job description. And it's as easy as Andrew sending me, here are all the things, get me a job description. Let's figure out what kind of person we're going after, what type of experience, education, industry knowledge I need right now. And it's like, that's a no-brainer place to start. So even if you're not thinking about hiring right now, your future self will thank you if you take the time to start writing some of those things down.
That's exactly right. So the things that you are writing down, these are things that you're going to ask yourself of, what tasks are consuming the most of my time, specifically non-revenue generating tasks. What is a bottleneck time and time again? What am I sick of messing with? Meaning, what's draining my energy? And what are definite non-revenue generating items that I could get off my desk right now for someone else that can handle, to make sure that I have more freedom in my life, so I'm not draining myself. The thing is you should immediately be looking at the things that you can get off your calendar that are the biggest roadblocks. And you've heard the old analogy of the $100 an hour individual should not be doing $20 an hour tasks. It's kind of the same idea. That's what we're talking about here. And it, I can't. I don't want you to think of it generically as your first hire is just about delegation. We hear about, you need to be a better delegator. You need to be about better delegator. It's all about elevation, elevating you, elevating your firm, making sure that when that prospect comes in for the first time, they are just wowed. Like, I have a great feeling when I come in here. this firm really has their act together. I mean, Gretchen, you and I have been into a lot of different offices. It is wild to me how you can open up that front door and whatever that feeling is, good or bad, it hits you right in the face right when you walk in. I don't know how it is. I don't know if it's the ghost or the karma or the whatever, but the second you walk in, you're like, "Oh, this place needs some work." Or you walk in, you're like, "Man, I don't want to leave. I want to stay here."
Yeah.
Right?
And Rob, you and I don't have any kind of superpower
Right.
that can see that or feel that. If we feel it when we walk in, 100% anybody else walking in
Right.
that door, whether it's the UPS man
Right.
or your brand new prospect
Yep.
that a client referred in, they are able to feel it too. And you don't want that. You brought up a good point when it came to delegation. If you choose to accept my challenge and start making that list of things, where a lot of our folks get caught up is, well, I can't write that down because only I can do it.
Mhm.
I can't put that down because somebody's not going to come into my organization and know day one how to do it. Don't put that limitation on yourself. We talk all the time about the if it's to be, it's up to me mentality. That has to go by the wayside when when
100%.
we're in the space of bringing somebody else in. Write all the things down. More than likely, we've got job aids or trainings or something that we could offer to help you offload that. So don't get stuck in your own mind about what I can get off my plate and what I can't get off my plate. If it's taking your time, write it down.
Right. Right. Um, through your experience over the years, specifically with the tactical coaching team, you've seen the same patterns over and over and over and over again. So let's simplify this a little bit. I would say your first or next hire will generally fall within three categories. The first category would be your operations or admin. Your second category would be client service, or sometimes we call that the care bear. And then the third silo would be sales, support, junior advisor. Kind of go through each one, like who are they? What do they do? When or why should I hire in those three
Yeah.
categories?
So typically, if it's an office and we're looking for the first person that they're bringing into the organization, I will oftentimes encourage them to go after a Jack or a Jackie of all trades. Like at that point, we're not looking for a specialist. We're looking for somebody that can be a little more broad.
Yeah.
So they can do some things to help us from a marketing execution standpoint. They can confirm appointments. They can set appointments. They can also follow up on business. They can send business in via Firelight. So we want them to be, kind of knowledgeable in all the things. I think where a lot of people run into issues, we all want more revenue for the firm, right? And I think a lot of our advisors think in order to get more revenue, I need to bring in another revenue generator. The issue with that is if we don't have the infrastructure and the support to be able to manage, maintain, foster, babysit the business that new advisor is bringing in, it's kind of all for naught.
Right.
And so it's almost like shifting the mindset a little bit to we have to have our structure and our underpinnings in place first, and then we can work on growth. Don't confuse that with when I hire my first person, I shouldn't see an improvement when it comes to the firm's revenue. You absolutely will, because it's going to give you back some of your time. So that was I didn't at all answer your question, but I got out what I wanted to talk about, Rob. So now let's go back to the actual question that you asked. So a little bit, an administrative assistant is kind of and people get caught up on titles all the time too. Don't worry about that. But we're looking for kind of that Jack or the Jackie of all trades. At that point, we probably have enough consumers that we need that client services person, that post issue, not only to be able to be reactive, people are calling in for distributions, or I need to change my address, or all of the things that clients call us for, but also that so that we can provide a real proactive experience and feeling for our clients. If it's been 3 months since Steve and Kathy client have heard from us, that's probably not the best thing in the world.
Right.
So administrative, then client services, and then I would look at a paraplanner type individual that can continue allowing me as the advisor to delegate things. I don't want to do case design. I don't want to work on putting plans together. They can be proactive, call through my database, keep my prospects warm, just the same way my client services person is doing for our existing clients. They can make sure that my calendar is staying full, that I'm booking those appointments. If they're licensed, they can also start taking on some of the annual reviews that maybe I haven't been able to get to, or I haven't been able to do as frequently as I want to.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing from you, and I've heard you and your team say this time and time again, that the right hire multiplies your time, and the wrong hire multiplies your stress. And along those same lines, if you want more appointments, hire support. If you want more sanity, higher operations. So you have to have an understanding of what you need. Like it's not just hire. It's where are my needs, and that is, kind of a shameless plug here. That's your specialty. That's the tactical coaching team. That's your specialty of being able to determine that next step. And that's one of the things I'm most thankful for. And then to take it a step from there, one of the main reasons why I might not hire is like, okay, great, I understand I need to hire for this, but oh my God, now I have to train them. And I don't have the time for that. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the understanding. More than likely, I probably don't have the patience. And for whatever reason, if I hired someone, I'm just thinking when they come in, they should be ready to rock and roll. That's not the case. The first 90 days when someone comes into your firm, that's everything, right? So tell us a little bit. What do most advisors get wrong about the training of a new individual within the firm?
Yeah, so you bring up a good point about not hiring just to be hiring because you feel overwhelmed. Going back to the planning your work and then working your plan, nothing is going to fix the stress and the culture in your office if you are just throwing a body on a task list. That is, I've seen them all try, Rob, and some of them are like, "Oh, I'm going to prove you wrong, Gretchen," and they don't, because that's just not the way this works. And I do really enjoy saying "I told you so." I try not to; it just comes out. I have to tell them before they can tell me. But the 90 days, like if you kind of compare it to a dating analogy, right? That first 90 days, we're trying to make the best impression on that new, individual that we're courting. We want to put our best foot forward. Because there's nothing more painful than creating that revolving door of, I hire Sally, Sally's out. I hire John, John's out. I bring in Steve, Steve's not cutting it, Steve's out. That just revolving door of different people in the organization. We will never gain traction, and we'll never get to where we want to be if that is what we are creating. Yeah. So, the 90 days is not only about training, it's about treating those individuals, if they're the right fit, treating them right so that we don't end up also having a retention problem.
Yeah.
One of the best things, in my opinion, that Gradient has done is created the advisor launch and office launch training programs. Yeah, right. You send them to Minnesota for a week, and then there's a 6 or 7 week program following that our staff sticks with them. How are things going? Do regular check-ins with the advisor to see where, on the next call, what do we need to focus on? Where do you see they're struggling? But from the advisor's chair, what's most important for them is you got to communicate. that, like if you get frustrated because something's not being done or it's not being done right, it's not ever going to get done right if you take it back and you just end up doing it anyway. That's not going to do anything to help the culture or to help free up your time, that list of to-dos. So, first 90 days, first 15 minutes, and yes, it is a commitment of time, but you meet with that person. What did you work on yesterday? What went well? Where did you struggle? What are you focused on today? How can I help? Or how can, another member of the team help? That type of communication is going to make them feel so empowered and so much a part of the team that, we get the right individual in there and they will go to great lengths to make sure you stay happy and all of our clients stay happy.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And uh, overall, a lot of this is timing, a lot of this is feeling, but you also have to have a team in your corner to be able to help. And that's specifically where you and the tactical coaching team come into play. That's in my humble opinion, that's the biggest advantage that our advisors have. It is you and your team. And the fact that your team understands the framework. You understand better than anyone else in the industry of how to help an advisor hire the right person the right way to help with the training, the onboarding of that individual. So hopefully be able to avoid all of these mistakes and frustrations that we've talked about. Because why you are making this hire is because not only so you could breathe again, but so the business can breathe again. And that's where the tactical coaching team and your expertise comes into play to be able to give the advisor the map. And that map is to ensure that the advisor is able to win faster and fail less. Um, and that's really the goal of all of this is how do we do that? Um, and I can't believe this, Gretch. It is already time to wrap this thing up. I mean, time flies. You're just
Ooh,
so
so
much fun to hang
fast.
out with. And as always, you bring so much clarity and confidence and so much practical guidance, and I appreciate that, and hopefully everyone that's listening appreciates it as well. But before we wrap up, do you have any last pieces of wisdom to share with us today?
Um, I think I'll end with this, Rob. If you are on the fence about making a hire or it's something that's been on your heart for a while, you've been thinking about it, um, I would encourage you to two things: pick up the phone and have a conversation with us. Let us see if it is time. If we don't feel like it's time, we're gonna tell you that. We all pride ourselves on being honest and letting you know what your business needs. As passionate as all of our advisors are for helping their clients, like, I'm not confused. Nobody has the passion for hiring and training that our team does, but hopefully you all realize that we do have it. And the second thing is, you're ready to hire. Just keep in the back of your mind, if you're bringing somebody on for 60 grand a year in our Jackie of all trades role, you're not going to stroke that check in the first month, right? That's an annual investment. So don't look at it as a $60,000 immediate hit to the balance sheet of the business. You will start to see the positive impact of that long before that 60 grand goes out the door.
That's exactly right. And you talked a little earlier about a challenge, and I want to throw that back out again and make it a very clear challenge. So in the next 30 days, what you'll want to do is identify one role that will remove 50% of your stress. And once you've done that, take and list out on paper, literally writing out the top 10 tasks that role would accomplish that drain your time and energy. And these are your immediate delegation targets. And then you're going to map out the outcome that you want from there. And that outcome has to be clear. And then what I would do, if it were me, is I would find an opportunity to schedule a call with Gretchen and the tactical coaching team to have them help you figure out the role, the profile, the path, because you're not going to be able to scale alone. You're not going to be able to do everything yourself. You need a team to help you with all of that. Once again, Gretch, thanks so much. And if for everyone that's listening right now and you're ready to go to that next level, I have something to offer you as well to help you take that action fast. Head out to the website. The website is evolvewithgradient.com/ace team. Once again, evolvewithgradient.com/ace team. And what you're going to request out there is what we call the first hire blueprint. And so in this one-page guide, it's going to walk you through the 3 roles that we talked about today, the tasks that will free up 10 to 20 hours per week for you, and to also help you avoid the first mistakes to avoid when you're hiring, what to delegate immediately and what to keep. Very simple, it's tactical, and it's definitely going to help make your first or next hire without guessing or burning time you don't have, make it much easier. Once again, that's evolvewithgradient.com/ace team. And before we close today, as always, I want to take a moment to speak directly to all of the advisors out there. Thank you, truly. Thank you for your long hours that no one sees. Thank you for the guidance that you are bringing to families that are feeling overwhelmed. Thank you for the leadership that you're providing to your communities. And obviously, thank you for caring enough to doing this the right way. And that's and what I mean by that is with integrity, with heart, with a level of commitment that most people just don't really fully understand. You are definitely the difference maker in someone's life or a family's life, and you are showing up every day when it's hard, when it's easy, when it's busy, and that all deserves acknowledgement. So once again, thank you. And if this episode spoke to you at all, be sure to like, follow, share the podcast, get it into the next advisor's hand, so we can continue to help the communities across the nation. And you could find the podcast across all of the platforms, the LinkedIn's, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, all of that. Once again, this has been Unfiltered and Unstoppable. I'm Rob Romesburg with my lovely guest today, Gretchen Beatty. Stay focused, stay intentional, and build the team that frees you to grow. We'll see you the next time on Unfiltered and Unstoppable. Thanks, Gretch.
Bye, Rob.